back to another episode of Coast Football Weekly. Today, we're joined by a Coast icon. He's the inaugural head coach of the Mariners and current mayor of the Central Coast. Welcome to the pod, Lawrie McKinna.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
Now, before we get into, obviously, Central Coast, Mariners and all that, I want to know, what was football like for you growing up in Scotland?
Basically, started with me going to school, primary school. You know, every day you went to school, you went with your ball, kicked it along, bounced it off the curbs all the way to school. Used to run back at lunchtime to get your lunch and then get back to play football. We had our own little every class had their own little football field. And then it just started there, playing in the streets all the time. Every summer holidays, we used to steal the strawberry nets off the rich people's houses to make goal nets, and we always used to set up a set of goals at a park that was near our apartments, where the flats where we lived, and we'd play there all summer. And then you used to know when it was time to go home, because when your mum shouted at you and she said Lawrie McKinna, said the full name, you had to go back and get your dinner and that. So and then we used to play against different streets and different villages. And then I played for my primary school team, and then went to Loudon Academy, which was the high school that four villages went to. I never made the first year when I went there, when I was 12, 13. I got in the second year and the third year, and I left school then, and then I started playing amateur football with my local amateur team, men's team, and I was 16, so I got the shit kicked out of me. Yeah. And I learned how to look after myself. And then at the end of that season, I got signed by Terrigal Juniors, which is like semi-professional, the next level up. I was there for about 6 weeks, and I was on the bench. I was getting paid £5 a week, which was like amazing to get paid to play football. Yeah. You know, to get my wage at the time was £25 a week, and I was earning £5 for football. But I gave it away because I was sitting on the bench. I know I was only 16, but it was just frustrating. And so I gave the game away for about 2 years and followed Rangers all over Europe, all over Scotland. Went to some huge games, and then I think when I was about 18, 19, when I got married, we got married then. My ball control wasn't that good because Christine fell pregnant. So I wish I could have got through the football defence as I did with the birth control defence, because I got straight through there. We were married, and I went back to Darvel and scored a couple of goals. And then I went on trial with Dundee United, who were one of the biggest clubs in Scotland at the time, and I scored the only goal of the game, and I thought I'd made it. I was 19 at the time. I said, I'm going to sign professional with Dundee United. They just won the league and maybe won the European Cups. And they said, you're too old at 19. They said, but we'll contact Kilmarnock, because the manager, Jim McLean, who's a legendary Scottish coach, he used to play with Kilmarnock. Right. So he contacted Kilmarnock, and I went out in trial, 2 games with them. I scored 2 the first game, scored 4 the second game. And I got signed. Signed with my local club. It was part-time, wasn't full-time, but I went for playing amateur football. 3 months later, at the end of the season, I made my debut, the first game of the season, the Scottish Premier League against Hibs. So that was all within 3 months, which was just bump. And I think I'd only scored 1 or 2 goals all season. I scored 7 goals in 3 trial games. So, see, the better players give me better service.
Yeah, that's it. It's always easier when you play with better players.
Yeah, so it just, everybody did it. You know, you just played football every time you could. And, you know, I used to go outside with my grandkids and try and get them to play in the street and trying to get them out of the house a nightmare, you know. And we grew up with the ball. And, a lot of happy memories, but in our life boys team, like boys brigade team, like we won 3 trophies one year, and we used to pay ourselves. We used to go in all the pubs with our cup, and we get lemonade and cola put into the cup, but we get money, so we all picked up cash as well. So we're basically full-time professionals at 11 years old.
Yeah, that's so.
But no, it was just and the reason all the boys went to the Boys Brigade is because the Scouts never had a football team, and the Boys Brigade had a football team, so everybody went to the Boys Brigade.
And what was the reason behind coming over to Australia?
It was to play football.
Yeah.
I actually came here when I was 2 with my mum and dad. I came here in the £10 passage We stayed here about 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We never settled, went to New Zealand for 6 months and then ended up back in Scotland. So I started primary school with an Aussie accent.
Yeah, okay.
But the reason I came out, I was like, I think 1986, I think it was the most used substitute in Scottish football. So I was either starting and getting hooked
On the fringe.
on the bench because a new manager came in.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, religion comes into Scottish football quite a bit. The new manager was Catholic.
Right.
Most of the players that got signed that year were Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Protestant. And then the Masons,
Mm-hmm.
I was straight on the bench. Whether it was because I wasn't playing well, but it was just coincidence. It was coincidence. So I had looked at going to South Africa, Canada, US, and then somebody was over here on holiday in Melbourne and the boy was playing in the NPL in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said to him, let me know if these clubs interested. And they were a kind of British club.
Yep.
Within 8 weeks, we'd sold our house, sold up everything, packed up everything. Me, my wife, and my 2 boys, they were 5 and like 3 when we came out here. And we came out to a club called Box Hill in Melbourne halfway through the season, scored a few goals. Mm-hmm. I got signed for Heidelberg in the old National League. Yeah,
the NSL.
Yeah, they paid $7,000 for me. Mm. And then I had a reasonable season with them, finished top goal scorer, but we got relegated. And Apia Leichhardt, they paid $10,000 and came up to Sydney. That was the year after they won the league and we moved up here.
What were the main differences between sort of football back home for you and then when you first started coming to Australia to play?
When the day we arrived, they taken us to the ground in Wembley Park, it was called. Nice little state league ground. You know, it's a state league ground. That's what it was. But coming from Kilmarnock, it was a nice stadium. It wasn't, it's all seated now. In those days, it was all bowl shaped with a terrace and it held about 18,000 people.
Right.
I came to this wee ground, the grandstand held 300 people. Yeah. And my wife's, we're in the back of the car. We'd just had like a 48-hour flight and she's going, what have you done? I said, what do you mean? Look at the state of this. I said, well, that is what it is, you know. Yep. It doesn't mean it's not good football.
That's right, yeah.
And, she was a bit shocked. But the club couldn't have done more for us. And the young girl who was the daughter of the family, she was one, I never knew, she was ended up being a Matilda the next year. And big football family. And they looked after us for 3 or 4 months. Made us feel welcome and stuff like that. And then I went to Heidelberg, I went to Apia, and then went to Blacktown City in Old National League as well. And had a stint at the Breakers up in Newcastle. I'd broke my leg. I'd picked up a couple of bad injuries when I was playing. And then that's when I got into coaching.
So did you always have a plan to sort of transition into the coaching space, or did that just come about naturally?
It just kind of happened because I broke my tibia and fibia. Blacktown had got relegated and I just signed that week to go back to Apia in the National League. And I collided with Tony Franken, the goalkeeper. 50-50 tackle, and I got his knee in my leg. You can just see the lump here. I broke my tibia and fibia. And I was
second best.
I was out for 2 years, and that was me. When I came back, I was about 33. I just came back for a ruptured kidney the year before. Then I broke my tibia and fibia. And that's when I done my coaching badges. I started... I went down to Canberra, the Institute of Sport. Ron Smith, a lot of the players and ex-players used to go there. And that's when I started doing my coaching badges. And when I got a wee bit better, I wasn't back playing, but Kelly Cross was the coach of Blacktown's reserves and he'd got suspended. So I came in and taken the team for about the last 6 weeks. And they got into finals, then Kelly come back and they won the grand final. And that was when I got the kind of sniff. I enjoyed being in the coaching side of things when I was down at Canberra, and that's when it first started. Now,
you're the inaugural coach for the Central Coast Mariners. Were you familiar with the coast at all before signing for them?
It all started and a lot of this stuff people don't know. It all started in 2004. I was contacted by 3 guys who came down to Northern Spirit. That's when I was the head coach of Northern Spirit for those 2 years. And they came down and said, look, we'd love if you could join the Mariners. And at that time, we weren't in the league. So it was like, I'd love to, but have you got a contract? Have you got nothing? They had nothing. Andrew Sylvester, Jerry Ratterman, and actually Jerry lives in the apartments next to me, and Brian Sewell. They were the three guys that put the concept together to bring the team to the coast. And because I was at Northern Spirit, I brung about 12 of the Northern Spirit boys, made the nucleus up of that first squad. Adam Kwasnick, Wilco, Hutch, all those boys came from Northern Spirit.
Right.
So we had quite a few meetings, came up, met the Mingara Club. Mingara Club were amazing. Paul Burnett, because that was where our first office was. That's where we first trained on the athletic track. And they had meetings with Football Australia, come up to meet with the club to see what they thought of the Mariners' bid, and they backed us to the hilt. But we never ever had any money. It was all done. And then all of a sudden, it was Melbourne Cup Day 2004. It got announced on TV that the Mariners had got the licence. And that's when Lyle Gorman appeared. So he was executive chairman because he put in the first money. And then obviously I agreed to a contract, Ian Ferguson and Alex Tobin. And then that's when we started, obviously, a lot of because the boys had to go back and play State League then because the NSL was finished. And then we went and we handpicked the boys and we put together what we thought was a good squad, and we started training March 2005 for the first tournament was the World Club Championship. And we played, we get beat in the final for Sydney FC to go to Tahiti. The final of that was for the Oceania clubs, was Tahiti to go to World Club Championships in Japan. And Sydney FC beat us 1-0. The left fullback, what do you call him? He scored an absolute screamer. My missus was pissed off because she was looking for a trip to Tahiti.
On a holiday.
Yeah, she was on a holiday, but we got beat. But it was a good start, you know. And training at Mingara, the offices, we'd not much bigger in this room. We had about 8 people in. You know, it was tiny. We were right next to the post office at Mingara Club, and that's where it all started. And then after we did the World Club Championship, we had to then get ready for the season. We won the pre-season cup. And then our first game was in Perth, and Noel Spencer scored that unbelievable goal for about 40 metres in the top corner, last 10, 15 minutes, and we won the game 1-0 and got the 3 points. And Steve McMahon, ex-Liverpool legend, was the coach, so I had a few words with him on the sideline that weren't too nice. Because Stuart Petrie had got knocked out with the ball. He got a bit of concussion. In these days, he would have got pulled off, but then he stayed on.
Through it.
We kicked the ball out, so their player threw us the ball back, and he's went off the head at their player, going, "Don't give them it back!" And I'm like, "You idiot!" Blah blah. So
escalated
after the game, it was all hugs and kisses. So it was all right, and that was the first game, and it was just a great start that season. Getting to the grand final against Sydney was just a dream. But the big thing we had a great bunch of boys that would played for each other. You know, that was the big thing. We didn't have any dickheads, and they were just really top together. The way we bind it with the community and everything was massive.
Grand final in the first year, and then the following year finished first place, I believe.
No, that was next year.
The year
so
after.
That was year 3. We won the weekend. It was huge. Like, we'd up and down during the season, and we had a really good run, and we won. Going into the last game, 3 teams could have won the league.
Yeah, Matty talked about this.
Yeah. He spoke about it, and I think he spoke about going to the Terrigal Hotel.
Down the
so
pub.
The first game was who was it? Sydney. I phoned Kevin Muscat up because he was with Melbourne Victory. I said, Muskie, don't let these guys win. You have to, because Sydney FC could have won the league. And it finished a draw. And I remember one of the times Muscat threw himself on the line and blocked. I was going. I went after it. It was like, we're still going. Adelaide played Brisbane. And Danny Teattle got sent off just before half time. So that's when the taxis started going, and we all ended up at the Terrigal pub. And I phoned the chairman up. I said, can we get some kitty for because we played Auckland. It was Auckland Kings on the Friday night. Kwasnick scored this amazing goal. And I said on the bench, that goal's won us the league. Because it was a real tussle. It was pouring down the rain. Quaz scored. So then I phoned up Lyle Gorman, said, can we get money for the tab? And he gave us $1,000, and I thought it was a tight arse. I'm like, fuck, give us it then.
How long did that last?
Didn't last long because they're on the shots, and I don't drink, but they were on the shots, and we had a great time. And then everybody else knew we were there. The word got out there, and the place was jumping. It was such a good night. And then we got to the grand final, and obviously getting beaten that first grand final was so sad for. I reckon out the 40,000 that were there, probably 10,000 would have been from the coast, which is huge.
Yeah, massive.
And you just felt so sorry because that time between the end of the game and by the time you get your trophy or get your medals and Sydney FC get presented, it's such a long time. It's like an eternity. And it was just so sad driving home. But we went to the Leagues Club and we had there were about 600 people in the big hall upstairs, and it was just really nice, the reception we got. And then somebody started whistling "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life," the
song.
The song. And then everybody just joined in, and because it was quite emotional. We're up there, and all these people are there, and you've just been beaten. And it was really special.
Tough one to swallow.
Really, but it was a great start.
Do you have any other memories that stand out? Obviously, Matty talked about that one being as one of the ones that
I think this over the years, some huge games. Matty scoring a hat trick down in Adelaide, and he scored a hat trick against Sydney FC. They were, I think we were down. We were actually down maybe 2-0 or something. We come back 1-3-2 or 3 each down in Adelaide. Matty got the hat trick, and I'm sure he got a hat trick against Sydney FC. But the Newcastle game in year 3 when we had won the league, we played them up there in the semis. They beat us 2-0. John Aloisi missed a penalty. We had a goal cut off, a disallowed. And to win that game 3-2 and 3-0 in extra time to go through was just full house. The celebrations, every time you see a video of it, you get the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's just, full
reliving
house.
it all again.
Yeah, and that to come back for 2-0 down the semi was something special. And it showed you. We'd brung in Aloisi halfway through the season. Tony Vidmar came in. We'd Viddy, and then just our boys, we'd...
When you look at the players in those squads back then, the names, it's just unbelievable.
We did, and even we got Boys nights, and after Danny gets suspended, we brung Boz in for the pre-season cup and that, and he was just having him in the dressing room was just great. His biggest problem was there were no hairdryers in the dressing room because he liked to kind of tidy up his hair, but he was great for just to be about the players. You've been about with this legend who played in the English Premier League.
That's right. Well, Matty also talked about, obviously, under you, the culture was always spot on. Is that something that is imperative to a team's success? And
I think whether you take it into football, I've taken it in when I went to CEOs and Newcastle Jets, you have to have good people in there, and you have to have that right culture, or it doesn't work. And we were just fortunate, and I heard Matty's interview, but people would run through a brick wall for a year for each other, and we had some great nights out, like pre-season. I'd go out, and I don't drink. You'd go out, the banter, just getting the stories the next day.
That's right,
it was just those first few years, because the boys, all of a sudden, they've came in. A lot of people don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Who's the central? We used to get asked all the time, who's the Mariners? Who's the... And then these guys became household names.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted a piece of them, and we were in the community involvement with Central Coast football way back then was massive, and everybody knew them. But for some years there, I believe they've lost that. They've lost that connection because, unfortunately, a lot over the years wouldn't know who half the players were.
Yeah.
And at that time, that first 5 years, the boys were like superstars.
That's right. And I think you see it too when obviously the success the Mariners had in previous years, obviously finals at the stadium sold out, but it seems to be like throughout the year, it's just that sort of support isn't there from the community. There's a bit of a disconnect.
And again, that's the new owners coming in. I would have got involved if Damon Hanlon had taken over the club and helped with that kind of stuff, because you can do all that again, and it's not hard. And if you've got a coach who engages, which I did, it's the same on council. I'm out at everything as the mayor.
Yep.
but if your head coach leads for the front, the boys follow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got a head coach turning up, like we used to cause problems because we'd turn up at Terrigal to do the coaching nights we used to do pre-season. We'd get 200 odd kids turn up because that's all we'd allow to come.
Yeah.
We'd get complaints for the council about the parking because people were parking everywhere.
Yeah,
It was
people's
here.
driveway.
We got a Roomba. We got. I remember one night up there it happened, and then what happened in the pre-season was so one night a week or 2 nights a week we were out at a club doing these. Everybody would have a group of players and be 200 odd players. Then it became like they put on a barbecue at the end of the night, so it became a competition who fed us the best.
Yeah,
and we did this every pre-season, and it was just that's how people engage. Because all of a sudden you've got a 5-year-old who's getting coached by Adam Kwasnick, and then he goes to the game and he sees Adam Kwasnick, and then he's got that connection there.
That's right.
And I get people coming up to me. I had somebody come up to me last week and said, "Oh, this is my granddaughter. She's 23 or something now." And then they get the phone out, and it's me and the granddaughter when the granddaughter's 2 years old with her Mariners shirt on at a Mariners game. You know, that's
special,
That's special, that kind of stuff. And it happens all the time.
Speaking more on the community, obviously we've seen a lot of great players throughout the years come through the Mariners system, even now to this day. What do you think makes the Central Coast such a good sporting region?
I think that regional bit, I believe any of the boys up here who make it, the local boys, it's harder to make it. It was the same when I was at Newcastle. You know, the boys for Coffs Harbour, I believe it's a lot harder for the boys to the coast because they're playing in the Sydney comps. They're travelling up and there every week, every second weekend. It builds up a bit of resilience and that hunger to do it because it's not as easy as it is if you're in Sydney.
Yeah.
And to get to that top level, you need to do that. So to me, that regional bit gives the slightly different mentality from the Sydney, the big cities. They know they have to work harder and they appreciate what they get. I don't think they're as spoiled.
And now speaking about your role today, Mayor of Central Coast, was politics always something that you thought you'd lean into, or how did that come about?
Nah, that came about. I came back from China, so after I finished at Mariners, it was a year as general manager of football. I brought Arnie into the club, and then after that year, I got asked to approach to go to China, the Chinese Super League, and it was a great opportunity. So me and my wife went to Chengdu there for 6 months, and it was a great experience. I took Kwasnick over, I took Hutch there.
Yeah.
Brendan Santalab was already at Chengdu. Jonas Sully used to play with Adelaide. He was there. So we had a great 6 months there. But when you start getting interference from above, and when your chairman's in jail with match fixing, and the guy that's a stand-in one wants to start getting interfering in players, it was just time to come home. And then I was only back a couple of weeks, and I got the opportunity to go to Chongqing Li Fan, which was Division 1, and I attained Brendan Santalab there. Again, great experience, but because the chairman wanted this 32-year-old Chinese international signed, I didn't want him, played the game, signed him. He had no legs left. Boy, he had ability, but he had no legs. And I dug my heels in, and it was time to come home. And I came home, and that's when John Singleton, because I got on really well with Single because he sponsored the club the first 4 years. He gave us $250,000 for 4 years. And then he gave the money, sponsorship money to the club to sign John Aloisi when he came in. So Single done a lot for the club. And he'd said, look, we need a change in council, blah, 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 blah. So I put my hand up and got in. Me and Gabby Bowles got in. And then we conned the Libs and that into backing us for me to be the mayor. So I was the mayor the first 2 years. Then the next 2 years, it was a tied vote. So it was pulled out of the hat, and I got it the next 2 years as well. I had come back from China, then that's with the council, and then that's when I went to the Jets. I took the owner.
Went to the dark side.
I went to the dark side. I took the owner because through my contacts in China, I met the guy who bought the Jets, and he offered me the CEO's job. And a couple of times, I had a great relationship with the Jets fans and still do, and the Mariners fans, so I've been fortunate. But a couple of times people say, "Oh, traitor," and I go, "What? Am I not allowed to earn a living to look after my family?"
That's right. Yeah.
Just for your knowledge, I offered my services free of charge to the Mariners for many, many years, and they never take me up on it.
Mm.
And they went, "Oh, I never knew that." I said, "Well,
That's right.
you know," so I had to look at it, and I had a great, I think 5 years up there. We got to the grand final, and some great boys and great memories. But then that got a bit messy up there, and came back, and then started the council thing came back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I'm back in as the mayor, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it's much the same as the Mariners. I don't like the politics,
Mm-hmm.
but we're doing it, and I think we're achieving a lot of things. But to the stuff in the communities, I enjoy being out and about, and knowing. You'll get the doomsdayers who say councillor rubbish, councillor this, but they have to realise up until 2018 they were about $200 million in debt.
Mm.
So we've actually got a council back now, making a surplus, getting more things done, and slowly getting. And you can't keep everybody happy,
Mm-hmm.
but
Never.
you can never. Don't even try. That's a
Yeah.
coaching job as well.
Yeah.
I've been used to sitting many times. McKinna, you don't know what you're doing on the sidelines, and that's fine. That's somebody's opinion. But
Yeah.
every now and again, I might have said something back, but I was mostly well behaved.
And how much do you think the Central Coast has changed since you first arrived?
So I've been up here 21 years now, you know, since the Mariners started. And just when I come into Gosford now and you see those buildings, it's not even since, it's just the last few years, things have certainly changed, and they'll keep changing in there because a lot of those developments are approved down there, and a lot of incomers coming from Sydney because it's cheaper up here to come. The freeway down to Sydney is a lot quicker. So there are a lot of things going for up here, but I'm pro-development, good development, and not everybody sees it that way, but that's my opinion, and I've got I can voice my opinion. We don't always have to agree, as long as you're respectful with people, and I am. I'll agree to disagree many times.
Now, one thing that hasn't changed, and every time it rains or we get a washout, we hear about this on our socials, but do you think there's ever a chance we will see a synthetic field or facility on the Central Coast?
I would love a synthetic field, and I've been a big advocate. Going back many years ago with Sproddy, when Sproddy was here, when they were funding for a synthetic field here came through, I was part of all that with, because that was coming up to an election. I remember I phoned Sproddy up to put in an email. He was in the car. He got an email into Lucy Wicks and Carmack Namara, and there were a load of funding came, but then they changed because it's a flood zone here.
Yeah.
That the money went to drainage.
Yeah.
So that was all. That was years ago. So I was involved with that. To Sproddy, get on the phone. You've got a chance to get some money, make it happen, and he did. We don't just need one. You need a few. There's a big development. The 30 group, Charmhaven Way, they've put in a big submission for 2,000 houses. Yep. And part of that's a
I've seen those plans.
Was it one synthetic field or two? I
think it's two.
Yeah, I think it's two.
Yeah.
So but we definitely need it. And I know the Mariners have got some funding. If it's matched, we definitely need to get synthetic. We need more than one. You know, to me, I think ideally you want one at the bottom, one in the middle, and one at the top. It's like 70 Ks.
Yeah.
You know, they'll talk about the fast train. The big problem is going to be, where's the train station going to be? Because if it's going to be in the middle, you're still 40 minutes for each end to get there.
Yeah.
So definitely need to get synthetic. Definitely.
So as we wrap up, I've got some quick fire questions. Who do you think is the best player you've coached in your career?
Probably Millie Ednett. Came out of nowhere, trained for 4 months, similar to Matt Simon. No offer of contract. Came away pre-season cup up to Toowoomba to play Brisbane and got sick, couldn't play in the game. And then he eventually got a chance, and we went leaps and bounds. And when he left us that January to go to Turkey, we were sitting second or third spot in the league, and we never won a game after that. Because we missed him so much. And then he went over there, and it didn't work out there, and he went to Crystal Palace, championship captain, premiership, now national team coach. So a boy with that was, a good player, but he's just basic ability, but that will to win, and he scored some crucial goals and tackle, just a winner, What a great boy as well.
Yeah. Favourite memory in the Mariners, from the Mariners?
I think touching on that Sydney, the Newcastle game, winning 3-0.
Yep.
And then, that one.
Hard to choose, just one.
Hard to choose. We had so many great, like that goal that Noel Spencer scored, the first goal of the season. I just about passed out because I jumped up that quick. The blood went out my head. I just about fainted. I got the wobbles. And probably one of the funniest ones to finish was when John Singleton phoned me, because after year one, I never had a contract. And Single called me because Sydney FC were trying to sign me for the next season.
Yeah.
And Single phoned up, says, "You're not going anywhere, McKinna. I'm going to meet you. Where will I meet you? I'm coming to your house." So I met him at Iguanas.
Yeah.
Drifters Wharf. I met him in there, went in the office out the bar, and I signed a 4-year deal on the back of a Mother's Day menu. And he told me, he says, "Whatever the club don't pay you, I'll make it up." So we negotiated out, and he said, "This is valid. You've signed it." It was a $40 Mother's Day menu signed on the back. And when I got out the car, he handed me the phone, and it was John O'Neill, the chairman. And John O'Neill said, "Lawrie, I'm just letting you know, get as much as you can off Single, because the deal with Sydney's off, because he's just told Frank Lowy to F off and leave you alone, and you can't get it." So, for somebody like Single to go to those extremes,
just to keep you,
was just something special.
Yeah,
and that's why I couldn't leave. I had a contract and everything all agreed on, not signed, to go to Sydney.
Yep.
After they beat us in the grand final, which would be a big move to a big club with big money, but I couldn't leave. Yeah, because Single had shown that much faith in me. It
meant a lot.
Yeah. And did Matty Simon tell you about the horse?
I don't think so.
No, we got a Single gave us a horse.
Right.
Any good? The boys were at him. "Give us a horse." So we went up. Me taking all the punters, Wilco Hutch, Matty Simon, went on up. And it was going to be called Mariner's Joy. And the boys picked it. It had to be one that he owned 100%. So the boys picked it. He gave them all the bloodlines, and the boys picked it.
Yeah.
It never ever raced. It broke down and it got put down.
You're kidding.
So I was registered as the owner, and the rules were, if you were at the club on the day it raced, you got a share of the prize money. Yeah. Single was going to cover all the training costs and everything. But if you left on the Sunday and it raced on the Saturday, you get the money. Yep. If you left on the Friday before, you wouldn't be included. But the boys were all excited and never even made the race. So, but Single came through a horse for the boys.
Oh, that's good. No, good guy, Singer. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for everything you've done and continue to do on the Central Coast.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Joined on the pod now, returning to the O-Lads in 2026, Ben Flakus. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, match of the round on the weekend. You start the year with a 1-0 victory over Killarney. Talk us through that win.
It was tough. It was a tough win. It was a grind, as always with Killarney, as it's been. We scored probably halfway through the first half. Got a little bit of a toe poke into the box, which was nice. So got off the score sheet early, but it was a grind. They had heaps of chances in the second half. Didn't put them away, but luckily we came away with 3 points, which was always good to start the season with.
Yeah, so, off the nudie run for you too.
Yeah, which was good. Got one early. Hopefully it keeps going though.
Did anything surprise you about the opposition on Saturday night?
Killarney were young, like really young. I think when we left 2 years ago, it was the team that had dominated for a long time. So coming back, we noticed they were young, they were fit, they were really quick. And they were looking to use that speed out wide the whole game, which they did. So that's probably the one thing we noticed. It's really, really, really fast and young players now.
Now, obviously left for CCU and back in 2026 along with a few others. What was the reasoning behind the return?
I think we kind of missed being around the Terrigal culture. I think that's one thing that we were kind of renowned for when we were here, was the culture that we kind of had. And I think it was time to kind of get back to that, get back on the coast, be back enjoying football with mates and things like that. And we just happened to bring a few boys with us that wanted to join on the ride as well.
Now, reflecting on the victory, is there anything you can probably improve on heading into round two for you and for the squad?
Yeah, I think pressing for myself, being a striker now, we're playing in the attack, being able to press kind of defence is really good. That's probably one thing that if we can get that right, that'll really help. But as a squad, I think just staying together the whole game, being able to kind of, ride the lows of games and things like that. That's probably one thing that we can work on this year. And if we kind of get that right, and get over those humps in those games, we will be we'll be pretty hard to beat this year.
Now, many people have labelled you as a sort of top 4 team this year, just going off on paper. What are the squad's goals for the year ahead?
I think a lot of us have come back into the squad this year looking for gold, looking to win. One thing that we hadn't done before is minor premiers, or for myself especially, getting that first place at the end of the season, being able to have success for the whole year is probably a goal, rather than just getting a grand final and being able to get there and winning a grand final at the end. I think success throughout the whole year will be a big thing for us, and that's probably our main goal.
Round 2 this weekend. I'll get some predictions for you if we can. Starting on Saturday night, just the one Saturday night fixture this week. So we've got Killarney hosting Berkeley Vale. How do you see that one playing out?
Berker have got some good boys that have come over to their squad this year. Saturday night, I think Berker will be able to get them under the lights. I think the score will be, it'll be 2-0 Berker.
Okay, we'll go to Sunday now. Gosford at Gavenlock in their first game home in the NPL, and they're hosting Southern. How do you see that one going?
Southern are strong. It's good to see Gosford back though, but I think Southern are going to be a little bit too strong for them. I reckon it'll be 3-1 Southern.
Now, 2 teams looking to bounce back after defeats in round 1, Arimba and Umina at Arimba Oval.
I reckon Umina will get their first one. I reckon they'll get a 1-0 victory.
Match around for this week, Camwell hosting Wyoming at Wadalba. How do you see that one playing out?
Again, I think it'll be close. I think it'll be tough. I think Canwell will scrape through. I reckon it'll be a bit of like a 4-3 Camwell.
And last but not least, Terrigal at Duffy's hosting last year's league champions Budgie.
Back at home, back at Duffy's this week. I think we'll get them. I think it'll be a big game. I think it'll be a good game, but I think we'll get them, and I reckon it'll be 3-1.
Another winner by you?
Hopefully more than one this week. We'll wait and see.
Awesome. Well, all the best. Thanks for coming on, and all the best for this weekend and the season ahead.
Thank you, mate. It's good to be on.
Round 2 in our women's competition sees all games taking place on Sunday at 2:45. This week's match of the round sees the entrants host East Gosford, 2 teams looking to bounce back from defeats in the opening round. We have a Peninsula derby at Umina Oval as the Eagles look to start the year with 2 wins from 2 games when they battle against Southern and Elong. Competition favourites Killarney will enjoy their opening home game of the season when they welcome Terrigal to Edzac Oval. And the last fixture sees Camwell looking to get their year up and running with a win against a stern Kincumber side who look to start the year with 2 wins on the road. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Coast Football Weekly. Please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube and leave a rating and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll catch you next week for another episode.